Hello world, welcome to a new tutorial. As many of you requested, today we are looking at the multi-channel routing. How to use the multiple outputs of Crusher X12 inside of your DAW, how to create multi-speaker setups, and how to route them to your audio interface. Let's have a look at how it works in Ableton Live. If you have loaded the Crusher X instrument on your track, choose the stereo setup you want. Let's take 4.1 as an example. Now we have 4 speakers again, with our grains moving in 3D space. Also in the mixer you see we have our 4 outputs. If you want to route output 3 and 4 to another track or to another output in your audio interface, we have to create a separate audio track. In this audio track, we will use exit in and choose Crusher X instrument. Here we will get all the outputs from Crusher X. If we use post mixer pre-FX, post-FX, we will get output 1 and 2. The other outputs are output 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. In this case, if we are using output 2, we will get output 3 and 4 from Crusher X12. To hear them, turn on in. Now we have output 1 and 2 on track 1 and output 3 and 4 on track 2. If you have more than 4 outs, you would need to choose other outputs from the Crusher X. They are always stereo, so if you have a setup with more than 4 outputs, for example 7.1, you will see more outputs here, which are linked to the other outputs of the Crusher X. To now use extra outputs from your audio interface, we have to check the settings of Ableton Live. In the settings, you choose the audio interface. I have 4 outputs, so I will configure the output at outputs 1, 2, 3 and 4 and activate them. I can also activate the mono channels if I want to. Now I want to send audio 2 track to output 3 and 4 on my interface. So we'll go to the output section and choose exit out and 3 and 4. Now our track 1 is sending the output to 1 and 2 of the interface and track 2 to the output 3 and 4. Now I could use 4 speakers at the same time, having different outputs. If you want to have more than 4 outputs, repeat this process. Add more audio tracks and route them to the different channels. If you don't have an audio interface which has more than 4 outputs, or you don't want to use 4 speakers, this is still interesting because you can add different effects on the different outputs, differently manipulate the volume, or send them to the send separately. Let's check how it works in Bitwig Studio. If you want to create a multi-speaker setup, a surround sound setup with the penner in Crusher X12, firstly select your setup. For example, a 4.1 setup or a 7.1. If you load the Crusher X as a plugin, the normal output is only stereo, output 1 and 2. If you want to use and get access to the other outputs of the plugin, in Bitwig you have these little arrows that you can click. It says that there are multi-channel outputs and chains available by the plugin. By clicking Activate Chains, you can activate all the outputs that the Crusher X has available. Here you can see we have output 1 and 2 and output 3 and 4, as you see here in our 4 speaker setup. We have output 1, 2, 3 and 4. In Bitwig you already have the possibility to use the different outputs and give them separate effects. If I want to put a reverb just on the output 3 and 4, I can easily do this inside of this channel and track. If I want to route the Crusher X outputs to different speakers and outputs in my audio interface, this works a little bit different. Firstly, check your audio interface and set up inside your settings. I have the M4 audio interface, which has 4 outputs currently. So I want to route the output 3 and 4 of the Crusher X to my outputs 3 and 4 of my audio interface. I can do this by creating another audio track. On the new audio track, choose the input Crusher X instrument and select the chains. Here you find all the outputs that the Crusher X has. If you want to route the outputs of the Crusher X12 separately to 2 different tracks, choose Pre. And now deactivate on the track 1 with the plugin the output 3 and 4. So here the output is only from the output 1 and 2. And on the audio 2, we have output 3 and 4. Now we have the 4 speakers separately routed to 2 channels. On the audio track 2, we now select a different output. We will choose the output 3 and 4 from our audio interface. Now our setup is complete, and we could use a 4-speaker setup. To add even more speakers and outputs, we would need to choose a different setup. For example, a 7.1 film. Now we have even more outputs, which are sent to our outs. To send them to different speaker outputs, we would need an audio interface, which is capable of having more than 4 outputs. But then just repeat the process by creating a new audio track, using the input of the Crusher X instrument. Choose a different chain, for example, output 13 and 14, and route it to another output of your audio interface. I will make a separate video for how it works in Logic Pro, because it has a specific surround sound mode, and the routing is quite complicated. Thanks for watching. If you have any more questions, please feel free to comment.